Hi, guys. I hope everyone's having a beautiful Monday. Um, this video, I want to talk a little bit about some stuff that happened yesterday, and that has been happening more and more. I feel like these videos specifically, this is very much me practicing for future endeavors, if you will. Um, But I think that they are a really good opportunity to highlight some of the things that happened to me, that I'm going through, that I've been through, and also be able to explain exactly how I have spoken to myself, challenged my own thoughts to change those things that become issues for me. You know, I've said it and I'll keep saying it. Whenever something happens, okay, that invokes any kind of emotion within you, whether it's good or negative, especially the negative, so that you can keep it from happening again, there are three questions that we all need to ask ourselves. If you are feeling an emotion that is unpleasant and you don't like it, three questions you need to ask yourself to figure it out. And those are: what did this teach me about myself? What does this teach me about the world or whoever else is involved? And what did this teach me about the environment in which this situation, words, whatever, took place, right? Break it down, figure it all out, straighten it out. And there are so many times when you'll realize that a lot of times our instinctive emotions that are built to within us to protect us from threats, to keep our body safe. The brain does some beautiful things to the mind to keep the body safe. And we're going to talk all about that in all of the videos to come. I'm going to focus a little bit on CBT, and then I'm going to touch tiny, tiny, tiny on acceptance and commitment therapy a little bit. And it's all going to be oversimplified, and I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. Um, you know, I'm so excited about launching Contextually Human at the end of the year on Patreon and everything, but there's a lot has happened in the last 3 years, and a lot of things that would break almost anyone. And I'm still working on myself, I'm still healing myself. And I don't want to launch that until it can be perfect, until I can work on it enough. I want to dedicate thousands of hours to this before anyone ever sees it. Um, and I am. And it's very behind the scenes. I'm learning so much, but I'm also working on myself. Now, yesterday morning, today is Monday, so this was Sunday morning, I got a text, or it wasn't a text, it was a message. And it just popped up. I don't really check my messages that much, but if I'm on here and Facebook is open, they just pop up, or I'll pick up my phone and a notification will be, I'll see it. And if it's short, I'm a very quick reader. Also, did you guys know that when we get older, we don't actually read? We just kind of just know how to identify a lot of words. It's really, it's fun. Anyways, we've already learned. We know how to read, but when we're reading, that's not exactly what we're doing. It's why we ever see, okay, we're going off on tangents. Come back to me. Come back. Look, I even took notes because I realized that these videos are a bit scattered, and I'm trying to keep them cohesive as best as I can, as best as my Jamie brain will do. So yesterday I got a text and a message. Listen, all women on Facebook or any social media, I feel like it's a lot worse on Facebook, but I might think that just because I happen to have more followers on Facebook than any other platforms. So that could be me just personalizing my own experiences. I'm sure it's on every platform. All girls are going to have guys in their DMs being disrespectful. It's just going to happen. All girls. And it's not just men in the DMs too. Like sometimes girls will hit on you too. Usually, as long as they're not like trying to sell their OnlyFans, though, they're still pretty respect. Listen, shooting your shot online is the world that we live in nowadays. I get it. I'm not on any dating apps, sites. I'm not on Facebook dating. Although I've gotten some funny icebreakers in my DMs, like, I thought you look familiar. Did I see you on Facebook dating? No, you did not. But still, that's not rude. That's okay. I got a message the other night, and actually, if you guys are watching this, I saw your message. I didn't answer because it was late and I was about to fall asleep. It was a couple. But it wasn't mean or rude or disrespectful at all. It just said, hey, me and my girlfriend think you're really pretty. That's all it said. That's actually really nice. Now, because I understand the underlying implications of what that person was saying, I didn't exactly respond because I don't have anything to offer like that right now. You're about 20 years too late. Honestly. I'm a little older now. I'm very tired. But it wasn't mean. Like if I didn't understand the underlying implications of what that meant, I would have just thought it was a nice compliment. Like, that's okay. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I don't see anything wrong with that. But there are some people who are very bold and introduce themselves in the most inappropriate ways, as if Tinder was a strip club and we all had that app, and that's what Facebook. The only way it is ever appropriate to introduce yourself this way is definitely in a strip club, for sure. Let me read it to you. This was yesterday, so Sunday. I'm sitting here at my desk, okay? And I was working on clipping. I'm trying to learn. I told you guys, I'm working on a lot of stuff in here. I'm teaching myself a lot of things that I didn't think I was ever going to have to learn. So, it's a new journey. It's fun. We're going to get through it together. It's going to be okay. But so yesterday, where is it? At 11 o'clock in the morning, I get a random DM from someone I've never met. I do not know this individual. I've never heard of this person. I don't think so. The picture I'm looking at now, I have the face blurred out. But it wasn't someone that I recognized at all, or I didn't recognize the name either. Out of the gate, this is not how you introduce yourself ever outside of a strip club. Out of the gate, I've never spoken to this person. At 11:10 a.m., I got a message that says, I want to do a fat line off that app. That was at 11 a.m. on a Sunday. So I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that this person probably missed Sunday congregation. Probably still up from the night before, and probably already done a lot of fat lines off of someone else's. He needed to go to bed, I think, was the problem. He needed rest. Listen, guys, I'm not trying to sit here and be judgy over what surfaces you want to choose to do your drugs on or off of. Okay, that's not my business. However, this is not an opener. You don't come out the gate. Like, this seems like a conversation maybe you could have after you've like hung out with someone a couple times. You get to know them first. So weird. And then I had to be, of course, I didn't have to be, right? I didn't have to say anything. I could have done like I do with all the rest of them and just ignored it or just blocked. But my Jamie brain, it just struck me a certain way. And it's like, and it will be if I'm already frustrated and I'm spoken to that way by a stranger. And I'm going to explain to you why I think this is even more so now. I get real sassy and sarcastic. And, one of the interesting things, though, about the last 3 years is that it has taken my sarcasm game up to a level that I didn't even know was possible. Everybody cooks different, guys. The same boiling water that softens a potato will harden an egg. Don't forget. So after that happened, and I was frustrated, I was laughing, but I was also frustrated because it was like, oh my God, it's Sunday. Go to bed, man. Like, I don't know who you are, but you need guidance. But I really had to sit down with myself and do a little self-reflecting because the world has always been sexual. We've always been little nasties as human beings, always since the beginning of time. That's why there's so many of us, right? This is not new. Now, I do think that it has gotten a little bit worse, the objectification over sexualization and people who aren't really asking for it, because of the internet. It's one of the downfalls of the internet. It's so easily accessible, and people who I actually treated a couple people who were porn addicts. And it's just like any other drug. It's like you get desensitized to what you're seeing, and they're always trying to up the ante, which is why that kind of addiction is also very, very dangerous. It gets people into really dangerous situations. Anyways, but I was a bartender all through my 20s. I used to wear like 2 bras to try and make my cleavage look bigger to make like, it never bothered me. It did not. Being sexualized was not bothersome to me in any way. It's the way of the world. Like, but now it bothers me more. And I think the reason, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think the reason is because of the last 3 years. And it's interesting because my children were bought and sold, right? I have been absolutely 100% without a doubt treated like an incubator. I have been thrown away, and basically meant to be forgotten about by these people, not my children, the adults around them, because they bled me everything that I had, every property, every dollar, anything they could take, until there was nothing else left, and then they just threw me to the side. And now in that family, it's as if I haven't seen any. It's as if I was never there. I mean, it's legitimately insane and unhinged cult-like behavior of the adults around, especially my daughter. So here's the thing, though. Being treated as an object in the way of being an incubator, taking my life force from me, God's greatest gift to me, I grew in my own body for money, over money and greed, leaving me to die. The idea of the objectification in motherhood, being a mother and being a sexual entity as an adult woman, those two should never meet each other, right? Ever. Really weird, really gross if they ever do. Those things should never meet. But in a way, here, the way I'm reacting, what they have taken is so precious. And I have already been so objectified. I have already been so, not sexually, not sexually. I mean, by the people who sold my children and have now used the last 3 years to brainwash and manipulate them, or at least try to. They're underestimating the intelligence of my children, which I also think is insane. But I don't know. But even then, it's not about intelligence. You could say it doesn't matter how smart you are, you guys. And this goes to all abusive relationships. It does not matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how much you think you have your shit together. It is biology. It is neurology. It is the synaptic strengthening between neurons. When you hear something over and over again, that's how false memories are formed. That's why many, many professionals in the psychiatry industry don't believe in hypnotherapy, because you're in a state where it's too suggestive. You're in a state where you are too suggestible, is what I'm saying. It's not really about intelligence. Anytime you hear ask any marketing CEO, advertising exec, it's repetition. Anytime you hear something over and over and over again, it's going to get caught up here. It's a blessing and it can be a curse if you're around the wrong people. And that's exactly what's happening. These are things that my children are going to have to work. We are all going to have to work within ourselves and each other to be healing for the rest of our lives from what these people have done. And you know what? They stole 3 years without my permission, without my consent. There wasn't anything I could do. I tried. I did everything in my power. But my children were being sold whether I liked it or not. There wasn't anything I could do. I did everything they asked of me. My baby's disappearing was like trying to catch smoke with your fingertips. There was nothing I could have done. But so they stole. They've stolen 3 years so far, just so far. I never anticipated this would last this long. This is crazy. Any adult supporting those adults, I'm confused. This is insane. I'm really grateful for the people who have reached out and are paying attention and are like, yeah, thank you. Your words are nothing, but your words are everything. And I need to find a way within myself and the rest of my life to turn the monumental, prolific, and profound traumas that these people have now shoved onto my children into nothing. I have to work with them I don't have to, that sounded like it's a job. When it's your babies, healing your babies isn't a job. Healing your babies is what you're supposed to be doing at all times, no matter how old they are. So they stole 3 years, and now I will force the next 30. I'm going to shove Jamie down your throat for 30 more years because this can't keep happening. Maybe it had to happen to me. I don't know. Maybe it had to happen to us. I don't know. Anyways, so when we're talking about cognitive behavioral therapy, I took this opportunity and how I've been feeling lately with feeling targeted and feeling over-sexualized and feeling very, very objectified. While healing through a lot of weird stuff that happened this past winter. And there's a lot of residual fear, I guess, that I'm also still working through. With all that together, with all of that, and then I go on my DMs, and then I feel targeted sexually, I feel so unsafe and afraid. And that's on me. You know what I mean? That's on me. The world is not going to stop being sexual. That's not going to happen ever. because we're little perverts as human beings. Not in a bad way. But it is what it is. Women have been objectified since the beginning of time. This is not new. Well, at least since media, since print work. Anyways, so now when I see those messages and I have this instinct of fear, and I understand now where that was coming from. I had to sit with myself for a while and figure it out. Why am I so afraid? But that reaction, that emotion of fear happens in a fraction of a second. That is my amygdala saying, danger. This person might want to take you out on a date to the beach, but they also might murder you and bury you in the sand. So, and that's paranoia. But that's what I'm saying. It happens so quickly. And because it happens so quickly, because it happens emotion and then cognitive processing after, where I'm like, oh my God, what? I don't like that. Like, why is that? That's what we call bottom up processing in psychology. That is when our emotions dictate our thoughts rather than our thoughts dictating our emotions. So as a human being and as an individual, as an educated individual, as a therapist, it's my job to be like, oh, wait, no, Jamie, I don't think so. Emotional Jamie doesn't run the show. Cognitive Jamie runs the show. And you got to step up. Cognitive Jamie has to step up. And that is what we call top-down processing. When your thoughts control your emotions, that's what you want. That's what we want. That's what we're aiming for, because you can change your thoughts. It's a lot easier than people realize. A lot of times, because they're stuck in mental illness, like anxiety disorders. There's so many panic disorders. You talk about OCD. There are a lot of times people have to work a lot harder to get their brains to stop saying horrible things to them. I feel very fortunate and so grateful that those aren't issues that I deal with. So I don't want anyone watching this thinking, well, she can do it. Why can't I do it? I must be a mess up. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it takes a lot of practice, and I did a lot of education. My credentials are way too many. I'm overqualified. But it's not something that comes natural. It's something you have to learn. You have to be taught, and then you have to practice and teach yourself, just like anything else in life. So when we're talking about CBT, we have to think about what cognitive distortions am I using to justify these feelings of resentment in myself towards people who are just hitting on me that didn't have anything to do with turning me into an incubator. They didn't do that. It's a way. So then when I snap on them, it becomes a way of me bleeding on people who didn't cut me for reasons that they are probably entirely unaware of. And that's not cool either. So as an individual, I have to step up and say, what am I doing? What kind of thinking? What kind of distorted thinking am I experiencing? What kind of problematic thoughts am I having? And how can I challenge those thoughts? And here we have a lot of mental filtering going on. Like I just explained, how I'm filtering this experience through my own lens of this experience over here, even though the two don't exactly have anything to do with each other. Within me, they do. Like I said earlier, mom Jamie and woman Jamie in that way should never, ever, ever meet. But here's the thing. They're both Jamie, and they do meet in here where I'm not feeling like seen, or heard, or validated or loved at all. I'm so grateful for all of you, and I say that all the time. And I also tell you, and I mean this, that there's a lot to say and there's a lot that has yet to be said. Not everything is always what it seems. But as an individual, it is my job to stop taking this so personally over here when it doesn't have anything to do with what is actually bothering me, It's a way that, and we all do it. This is a very human thing. We all do it. When I first opened New Tomorrow Life Coaching, and any new coach will tell you this, like general coaching, the biggest requests, the most profound requests, and because I used to sub from Life Coach Spotter and a couple other sites, was people who just wanted to figure out how to change their career, their job. They didn't like their job. And it makes perfect sense because most adults are going to spend just as much time at work with the people you work with that you do at home with your family. So if it sucks, waking hours with your family, if it's the worst, of course it's gonna affect your soul, and then that's gonna bleed into your home life too, and then everything else. You can't let it suck your soul. You have to learn how to challenge a lot of these cognitive distortions. I'm so excited about the series that I'm going to be doing on Patreon about cognitive distortions. I'm really excited about this new venture. I think it's going to be a really good way for me to be able to help a lot of people. And it's better than just one-on-one coaching, But what that whole thing will be about is what I've explained to you here. It's going to be all about learning how to operate more in a top-down processing manner rather than a bottom-up one. We want to have our thoughts dictate our emotions rather than our emotions dictating our thoughts. Emotions are very distinct. Instinctual, and they're automatic, That whole thing, this whole thing, I've just been so powerless to stop. I was so powerless to stop it then. And now I'm doing everything that I can against every odd to change it. And I'm not going to stop doing that. I won't. There's so many lessons to be learned here. And if I don't look at all of those as a gift, then the sum of the parts must be more than the whole. To cope, that's what you do, So I would like to say, I'm going to try to be less reactive about weirdos in the DMs. That's not new. I'm the one that is more reactive towards it now. I see this. I can feel it within myself. So it's up to me to change that and to work on it. And every time something like that frustrates me, it's going to be important for me to remind myself, Jamie, this person doesn't have anything to do with your children being trafficked. courthousekidnapping.com. If you've heard me talk about that a couple times in this video, I will leave a link below. It's really important. And I'm going to have to remind myself that over and over, stop clumping it all together. It's not the same. It's not the same. The feelings are the same. The objectification feels similar because nobody wants to be treated like an object because objects are disposable and nobody wants to feel disposable. And I have been treated very disposably by the people who were supposed to be rallying around me. They're teaching my children very, very faulty, maladaptive family life lessons, but we'll get to that soon. Anyways, this is already way longer than I wanted it to be. Now I have to go play Cinderella for a little while before everyone gets home. Thank you guys so much. I'm still working on keeping my train of thought. I'm working on that within myself. I just have so many thoughts. There's so many up there, and I love them all equally, and it's like they're all fighting to come out at once. I'll figure it out. We'll get through it together. Thank you guys so much. And I want to remind everyone, we will stay thankful for all of our blessings, for bringing us peace in every single one of our challenges, for bringing us strength so that we can stand tall. They're both equally important for survival and for life and for a healthy balance. Go buy some merch. I will leave that link too. Oh, and also I want to remind everyone, if you're in Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Norfolk, or Newport News, those are the 4, when I look at my analytics, those are the top 4 cities on the Facebook page, the main one. Send me your business information and I will tell people about it at the end of these videos. I want them to be locally informative as possible. I think that would be really cool to like shout out local businesses at the end. Okay. Thank you guys. You're amazing. And welcome to the journey. If you're new, we are about to learn a lot together.